Hello everyone, it's Michael here again. So today I want to be discussing more on DHCP, or as we pull up our notes here, it's also fully known as the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So what DHCP does is it's what we're able to dynamically get IP addresses for our endpoint devices, right? Because in our previous videos, we have shown that we go into our PCs, go into configurations, and we've added default gateways and we've done static IP addresses, which is totally fine to do for a lot of stuff. But let's say you're in an enterprise network where you're just having hundreds of computers, and that's really just not vital anymore to manually be giving IP addresses out to each of these. And so instead, what we can be doing is using a DHCP server. You can use a dedicated server for that, or you can use one of your layer 3 devices or a router for that as well. And so today I kind of wanted to show how we could be doing that with one of our layer 3 devices to set up a DHCP. So we'll go ahead and head over here into our host configuration. All right. So you'll see that first what we'll need to be doing is creating that DHCP pool. So this is where we're going to be creating a DHCP, setting up what the network is, how large it is, right? And then setting up the gateway IP for that so that way these devices can receive their own IP addresses. So we'll go ahead and open up our switch here, our layer 3 switch. I'm going to go ahead and enable. We'll go to configure terminal and pull up the notes again. Right, so first what we need to do is create that DHCP pool and give it a name, DHCP pool, and we're just going to go ahead and call this network 1. All right, now that we're in it, we'll go ahead and set up the network. For this one, since you can see that our gateway is going to be 192.168.10.1, we'll go ahead and be doing that for this as well. So it'd be 192.168.10.0 because it's just the network. With its subnet mask, we'll just do that /24. Okay. And then we need to set the default router. With our gateway IP address that we set, 192.168.10.1. Okay, and then you can also set DNS-server. Right now we're not doing anything with DNS, so we'll go ahead and skip that part. Now what we can also do is exclude IPs from this pool. So I need to get back into that, right? So we'll go ahead and do IP DHCP excluded. Let's see, so yeah, no, I can't do it in here. I got to make sure I'm inside the pool. So we'll go back into network 1, set up IP DHCP exclude. Oh, that was caps. Excluded address. And so we can exclude that gateway address from being one of the dynamically chosen ones, right? Okay. And then what we also need to do is make sure that we configure that gateway onto this interface, right? Which is going to be the Fast Ethernet 01. Doesn't have it yet, so go ahead and pull up our notes again. Let's see here, go back into configure terminal, go into interface, fast 01, then make sure that we set that IP address. IP address 192.168.10.1. That /24. Oh yeah, I need to make sure, since this is a layer 3 switch, I need to make sure it's no switch port. Now we'll set as a one that we can add an IP address to. There we go. Okay. And then that should be everything that we need to do in this lab, but you can check here as well in our other notes that if you see right here, we got relay on routers or a VLAN interface. So let's say that this was our server and then we had another router or a layer 3 switch that would be setting it further down the line to our endpoints, right? And so we can actually just go ahead and put an IP helper address with the DHCP IP, which is this 192.168.10.1, and it will help kind of relay it, making sure it gets to our endpoints. Okay. And then after that, if we wanted to set a layer 3 switch or another router to have a dynamic IP address, all you have to do inside the interface would be doing IP address DHCP, and it would just use the DHCP for it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and come right here. What I'm going to do is we're going to go into simulation, open up our configuration for this guy right here, and he's already set to DHCP, so we'll go ahead and see what happens with that. And it's going to send its files. Normally uses a DORA type communication for this. So again, sends out to all devices, come down, use its ARP request. Okay, and now as we see on PC 0, after it did its ARP request, it was able to send and receive back from the DHCP server or from the layer 3 switch its information to set up its own IP address, which this will lease and send out to it for a limited time until it needs to ask for access again. So we go ahead and check that. See, it knows its default gateway is the .1, and then we can see its own IP address as the .2. So we can go ahead and go back into real time, and we can set all these to dynamic. And then you just give these a few moments. We can go back to PC1, see that's now connected. It's now .3. This one is 4. And this one is 5. And so again, DHCP is super, super nice when we're trying to do dynamic IP addresses. And the reason why we want to be doing this is because when we're in those larger enterprises, yet again, is it's just not feasible to be able to give each one a manual IP address and keep track of that and not lose it, right? Or to make sure that we even have enough time to implement it on each of our devices. And so instead, we normally use a DHCP so we can automate that, have it simplified, and not have to worry about manually updating all of them. So I just want to say thank you again for watching the video and hope you guys have a great day.